Okay, so this is a topic that I hadn't even thought about, and I hadn't even kind of put it all together until just a couple of nights ago when I was thinking about it. So I think that we could, in the next couple of years, be looking at the death of the cheap used video card. Similarly, I did a video about how I thought Windows 11 forcing upgrades was going to largely kill cheap used computers, at least for a while, and permanently if they keep doing a 3-year forced upgrade. I mean, yeah, there's workarounds, but most people don't know how to do that. Your normal, average, everyday user isn't going to do that. So I think Indiana Jones may be the first nail in the coffin on the cheap used video card because it's been like this is similar. This happened a little while back when they went from DirectX 11 to every DirectX 11 when they went from games requiring DirectX 10 to requiring DirectX 11. It killed off a big wave of video cards. At least, I mean, it's not killing them. Okay, it's not destroying the cards. The cards can still do what they did. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's making it so that people don't regard when a given video card cannot play current generation games, even if it could play it at absolute bare minimum, that would be one thing. But once a video card can no longer play whatever the current generation of games are, it goes out of contention as a budget option for people who want a cheap used video card. So that happened. A good example of that is the cards I've been working with the last couple of weeks. The Kepler generation NVIDIA cards. 600 series, 700 series. So you're talking GTX 680, GTX 780, the original Titans, Titan X, Titan Black, Titan Z. I have a Titan Z that will not play basically any modern games because although it technically supports DirectX 12, it's a very early implementation that doesn't have a lot of the modern features that the games require to run. So a lot of games either will not run, they will not run properly, or they'll just run like garbage. Um, and it's not necessarily, I mean, the Titan Z, it's nothing compared to modern cards, but it's fast enough. Okay, it would be faster than something like, say, probably a 1060. I would bet if it was properly supported by more modern games, it would probably be faster than a 1060 would be my guess. Although maybe my brain's just totally out of whack there. Maybe I'm delusional, but for a lot of these GPUs, it's not a performance problem, right? 1080 Ti is plenty fast. Anyone that tells you you need something faster than a 1080 Ti, that person's a liar. But they're not going to be a liar for much longer because if games like Indiana Jones really ram DirectX 12 down our throats, and suddenly you have to have, I'm sorry, not DirectX 12. Wrong thing. I meant, well, DirectX 12 is part of it, but the ray tracing. So with ray tracing being required on Indiana Jones, and and maybe that's how Nvidia is going to kill 910, 9 and 10 series. Maybe that's how they're going to do it. Maybe they're trying to look like the good guy as long as they can by not discontinuing support for those GPUs, but then they're, behind the scenes pressuring game manufacturers to switch over to ray traced only games so that ray tracing becomes not just an add-on but a required integral part of the game, and then you have to have it, at which point in time you cannot have anything older than, I mean, high-end RTX 20 series, at least a 2070 minimum. I haven't even, at the 2070 is minimum. 2080 Ti realistically, if you're on 20 series, 3070, 3080, 4070, 4080, you're going to need a card like that. What that means is that there's going to be a period of time, and I mean, based on what I'm seeing right now, I'm gonna bet that assuming they don't progressively do the same thing. They don't say, okay, well, we got away with it with ray tracing. Well, now you have to have 1.2 ray tracing, you have 1.3 ray tracing, I have 1.4, and so on and so forth. Like whatever the set of features they designate as. Okay, well, you gotta upgrade again. Um, I think unless that happens, which it might, but just assuming that the switch is only to ray tracing being required, I think you're going to be looking at a space of maybe as long as 2, 3, maybe 4 years between when that happens and when ultra budget catches up with these higher end cards. Um, 2070s go for way more than they should. Same thing with 2080s. Everything 20 series goes for way more than it should on the open market. 2070s should be maximum like $100 card. 2070s should be where the 1080 was a couple of years ago, but they're not. They're still, I mean, occasionally on the local market, I'll see one for around $100, but realistically, market on a 2070 seems to be more like $180 to $250, which is ridiculous because if you know how to find a deal, you can get a 3070 for 250 to 3. I mean, I think there's a couple of $300 3070s on the open eBay market right now without you even having to try. Same thing with the 3080. You can get a 3080 for you know, I have picked them up off the open market, not through friend deals or special deals or connections. I've picked them up just straight up off the open market for as low as $275. Um, After working sources, I've gotten ones even cheaper than that. That I won't quote those though because those aren't technically open market. Technically, they were people that I met on the open market, but I'm not going to classify them as something that anybody could have gotten because that was after working sources for you know how it is months before I was able to get access to that kind of deal from those people. But anyone can do that. I mean, you know, anyone can develop sources for cheap parts. So, but and I want to be clear, this is not a bashing Nvidia video. I try to stay out of that. I'm not trying to be part of the whole negativity thing going on. I think there's a lot to be excited for in the PC world, but I do think that this is something that's coming. I could be wrong. It depends if Indiana Jones is just a total outlier and it's still, you know, 2 or 3 years in the future before they do this, before the games really wholesale start requiring ray tracing, it's not going to be an issue because ultra budget will probably catch up with 20 and 30 series by that point, and you'll be able to get something like a 3080 for, say, 180, 200, something like that, in which case it's not a problem. But if it happens this year, then it's probably going to be a couple of years before you can get you know, an ultra cheap video card that can run all the modern games. And that already happened with DirectX 12. So when games started switching over and needing more, you know, the more modern implementations of DirectX 12, that's what happened to Kepler. Kepler became worthless. You know, people spent $3,000 on a Titan Z, and that card's worthless now. It's garbage. So, um, yeah, so just kind of an interesting, you know, food for thought. And then you know, I mean, I'll have to do a second video, but that goes into the question of, is Nvidia doing this on purpose? Which, I mean, I know that the conspiracy theorists among you are going to say, oh yeah, it has to be intentional. I don't know if that's for sure the case. They'll always claim plausible deniability. Oh, well, you know, we made the feature available to game developers. Game developers decided to run with it. You know, we didn't tell game developers to do that. But then you'll load up the game and there's a Nvidia the way you're meant to be played. Um, Anyway, I hope you guys find this kind of an interesting topic, maybe something to get a discussion going, because the used market is really my passion. I'm enjoying having the money and the resources to play with some of this newer stuff, but the used market is really my passion when it comes to PCs, and I think it's something that needs to be talked about. So anyway, thanks for watching the video. Try to keep the comments, if you watch this, civil and not all just super negative. Thanks.